Good afternoon, everybody. It is Thursday, the 16th of September, later in the week than hoped. This isn't a spiritual reflection, it's the recap of what was said at the Masses at the weekend. I promised for those who weren't able to get to Mass to try and make things a little bit available on the internet. So this is about the future of the two parishes of Blessed Sacrament and St. Peter's and how we move forward from here. For 2 years now I've been administering the two parishes and providing pastoral care for the two parishes, and we've made some progress in that time. It's not been the best of times to make plans for the future and changes. It's been very disrupted, of course, by coronavirus, but nonetheless we continue to move forward. It's probably good to at the beginning think just about how the shape of our pastoral life has changed, and the life of our parishes has changed over many years. We've been basically trying to do things the same way that we all grew up with, and the older generation in the parishes, not much has changed in terms of what we expect a parish to provide and how we expect it to work. But in that time we've seen many very significant changes that have affected the way parishes work. Most parishes, and our parishes would be no exception, would have had if you go back say 50 odd years or something, back to the mid-70s, they would have had large groups in the parish, such as the Union of Catholic Mothers, young mothers, probably groups of over 40 odd women in some cases. Probably the average age was about 40, not much more than that, and stay-at-home mothers who, when the kids were at school, might have a little bit of time to give to the church, who were called upon if there was any big event to provide refreshments to get the church ready, who really ran most of the substantial fundraising in the churches, the bazaars and the jumble sales, who were there really for anything, who supported the pilgrimages, the diocesan pilgrimages and those sorts of things. The situation for young mothers nowadays is very different, of course. We have very few stay-at-home mothers who have that kind of time for the church, whose families are supportive of the faith always, and life has changed very much, and people's lives it's hard for them to commit to things in that way now. We had groups like the St. Vincent de Paul Society and the Legion of Mary, who did apostolic work, generous people who kind of knew the shape of their lives from week to week. They probably worked 9 to 5 and had weekends off. They could identify a certain amount of time in the week that they could give to the life of the church. Most of our parishioners, of course, of that age, those kind of younger generations, are working crazy shifts and many other things in their lives as well, and many demands on them. Social habits have changed as well. Social conventions, those groups used to carry out apostolates in the evening, visiting homes and such like things, which now is much more difficult to do. Vulnerable people are not really going to appreciate you calling at their door after dark, those sorts of things. So big social changes that have impacted upon our life as parishes. Also, of course, we had religious sisters. We had a convent on Glenfield Road, a convent in Kirby Muxloe, other religious sisters probably in and around the place. We had a community of priests and brothers at Blessed Sacrament, curates, as well as parish priests in the local parishes. All of that has gone. So big changes in our life. We might consider that, of course, a negative thing, because it's something we had that we don't have anymore. Of course, there are many positive things as well. We have, in recent years, our parishes have been rejuvenated by an influx of Catholic people from abroad, brought real faith and vitality to our parishes. You only have to look around on a Sunday to see how viable and vibrant parish life is. There's plenty to build on, and hopefully we can support those families. They are the front line of the church, those parishioners who are trying to live their family life before God, to try to live good, decent lives in their place of work, and in that way being real instruments of Christ in the world. That's why parishes are here, to enable that to happen, to support that kind of life, to build up, give spiritual strength and nourishment to our Christian people who are on the front line, living the gospel in their families and in the other circumstances of their life. Some people think, of course, that priests have always got secret agendas and are always scheming for their own personal interest, and it's already been suggested to me that I have a secret plot to close one of the churches. Well, this hasn't been discussed at all, but in any of the conversations I've been involved in. And were it to be discussed in the future, I would certainly fight to keep both churches open. They both serve a real purpose in the mission of the church in West Leicester. They're both tremendous assets to the promotion of the gospel where we are, and it would be a terrible loss if we were to lose one of those churches. So it's certainly not on the agenda at all, and it's not something that I would consider supporting, considering where we are at the moment. So that needs to be said. But we do need to consider, how parish life. We do need to look wider than our own church, which we have been doing. We've been merging up mass times, so trying to provide mass times which are just about doable for the priest, but provide a sufficient number of masses for our people to get to a fair distribution across the two parishes, insofar as that's possible. So that's been obviously something we've established. Joint websites and newsletters, those kind of things. Joint sacramental preparation, catechists from both parishes involved in that, joint sacramental celebrations. So these things are all falling into place. We've just recently amalgamated the Blessed Sacrament Friendship Group with the St. Peter's Coffee Club, so that's now running on Tuesdays at St. Peter's, and hopefully we'll have the Friday sale up again and running before too long at Blessed Sacrament. So these are all things in which we can collaborate. There's already some joint fundraising with the 300 Club. In looking at West Leicester, of course, there's also the Parish of Mother of God, which I think, after having had discussions with the Dean and the Vicar General and the parish priest of Mother of God, there was a discussion about a three-way amalgamation, so to look at West Leicester as an entity and one parish, but I think we've decided that's not feasible at this time. But we will need to cooperate more. The three parishes share the same primary school. We have the Glenfield Hospital in our area, and various nursing homes, and the hospice, for which we provide pastoral care. So they're just a few examples of the logic of thinking of West Leicester as an area in the church's mission where we have to work together. So there are many things already happening. I've just mentioned a few, and this merging of parish life is already taking place. There are some things which can't be merged as long as we remain separate parishes, and the time has come perhaps to consider that formal amalgamation. The parish in church law is an important entity. It has rights and responsibilities. As long as we remain separate parishes, we can't merge the financial administration of the parishes. So at the moment, many things are duplicated, which are very time consuming and quite a burden on the parish office. Our parish accountant has to prepare two separate sets of accounts, which have to be audited and presented to the diocese. We have two separate lots of gift aid, which have to be administered separately. Two sets of collection envelopes and counters, two bank accounts, two separate sets of banking money to be banked. Also other areas of administration, two lots of safeguarding. There's all these responsibilities that we now have in the modern world, and the church has to fulfill them as well. The administration of health and safety, of safeguarding. I'm missing another one. It will probably come to me in a little bit. Safeguarding, it's gone. Sorry, I just cut out there when I tried to remember the third thing that was coming to mind. And of course we have all these responsibilities now with data protection, how we hold our records and data. All of that, of course, is quite a big job and is an ongoing task that we're having to undertake. So it makes sense to think that we probably need to become, instead of the two parishes working together, we need to be the one parish of Blessed Sacrament and St. Peter's, and Blessed Sacrament, whichever way around you want to say it. And that will enable us to merge up these different areas of parish life and take some of the administrative burden. Well, that won't really affect people in the parish very much. It will be a statement that we are looking beyond our own church, looking to the wider area, understanding that the mission of the church involves cooperation and collaboration with people who attend Mass in different places and live in different, beyond the boundaries of our own current particular parish. And as I say, there's a kind of logic, given the numbers of the clergy that we have at the moment and the institutions that we share, there's a kind of logic to thinking about West Leicester as a wider entity. And so perhaps the amalgamation, the formal amalgamation of our two parishes into one parish would be, we need to take that step at this stage. I hope I've given some overview of why why that's necessary. It would also be helpful in some ways, the bringing together of a fairly healthy fund. Both parishes have similar incomes and similar comfortable funds of money, which might enable us, if they were combined, to be a bit more ambitious in looking to ways in which we can spread the message of Christ and the initiatives we could undertake to build up the church. So there are a lot of, in terms of that missionary dimension of the church that we're being asked to prioritize. There are benefits, of course, from the amalgamation of the parishes too. Anyway, next weekend we will be putting out little postcards like this. I think that's back to front on this lens, isn't it? And all I'll be asking you to do is just to put your name on that, perhaps which church you attend, and just say whether you would be willing to support the formal amalgamation of the two parishes. So just a yes or a no. And a yes, I would support this move. The bishop wants to see these mergers and amalgamations taking place so that we can move forward. But it would be good for him to know, he needs to know that the people in the parishes are ready to support that and to undertake what's necessary to make that happen. So those will go out at Mass. You'll be able to put them through the letterbox or in the basket at Mass, or leave them, we'll have them somewhere at church, in the back of church you can deposit them, or else people can make submissions by email. And again, just name which church they go to and whether they would support, yes or no, whether they would support that. So we'll be talking about that again at the weekend, but just to let you know that hopefully I'm hoping that I have your support to move forward with the next stage of the parish amalgamation.